I'm excited to see
seeks
everyone
to stop New York state funding for marijuana dispensaries. The complaint claims New York is violating federal law by dispersing funds into activity that remains illegal at the federal level. 2 organizations and 8 individuals have filed a lawsuit in Albany County seeking a permanent injunction on New York putting state funds towards dispensaries. Tabner, Ryan, and Keenery is representing the Cannabis Impact Prevention Coalition, Cannabis Industry Victims Seeking Justice, and taxpayer plaintiffs in their Supreme Court case filed on Monday. Cannabis Industry Victims Seeking Justice is crazy. We are not aware of any business or industry receiving this kind of preferential state funding, especially one that sells addiction for profit. Well, look at the research, said David G. Evans, a spokesperson for Cannabis Industry Victims Seeking Justice. The cannabis of today is very high in potency and causes mental illness, addiction, and a host of other social and medical conditions. Many young people are becoming mentally ill from high potency marijuana and cannabis. After legalizing marijuana in 2021, New York authorized a cannabis investment fund by statute in 2022, allowing the state to put money towards opening adult-use retail cannabis dispensaries. Sales of cannabis products are taxed at 9%, a tax that goes into the state's cannabis revenue fund, which is then used to reimburse the state for money it put towards the cannabis industry previously. The complaint claims New York is violating federal law by dispersing funds into activity that remains illegal at the federal level and provides that landlords who work with these state agencies to lease a dispensary location may also be liable. Named as defendants in the case are the boards and officials affiliated with the state's Office of Cannabis Management, as well as against New York's acting tax commissioner, the New York Social Equity Cannabis Investment Fund, Dormitory Authority of the State of New York, and Social Equity Servicing Corporation. This is the part that pissed me off, because that's what I told you, Jason. Spokesperson for the Office of Cannabis Management did not immediately respond for comment. All right, so let me break down why this is not an issue. Because these people were placed in fucking New York state penitentiaries, were used as New York fucking slave labor while they made whatever goods they sell for New York in those New York penitentiaries. And this is restorative justice. This is actually what states should be doing, is taking some of this tax revenue money and from cannabis and putting it into restoring the lives of the people that were disrupted and destroyed because of the prohibition of cannabis, because God knows there's been plenty of that in the state of New York. So I think that this is an attack on social equity, and I would just call these organizations to be rational. This is absolutely ridiculous. This is a play at social equity. This is not going to stop any portion of legalized cannabis rolling out in New York. Clearly, they can't get New York cannabis under control in the first place. So why muddy the waters and take away what should be rightfully provided to the social equity applicants? This industry should be first and foremost available to those people who are prosecuted for cannabis, who didn't hurt anybody, who, you know, and referring to it as a selling something that's going to be harmful and selling something that's addictive is crazy. People don't stop smoking weed because they find whatever relief they're looking for in cannabis. This is not a pharmaceutical that's going to cause you to shake and vomit and have, you know, death-causing side effects if you stop smoking it. People take tolerance breaks all the time. So I don't understand. I do understand it's a baseless argument that is based in draconian rhetoric, but it just pisses me off. I'm sick of seeing attacks on social equity, and I'm sick of seeing, you know, New York, who is rolling out something where they are actually putting funding into it, being attacked at this level. So I'm going to throw it back to you guys, and I'm sure I'll have some more piss and vinegar to spew about this in a moment.
Jenny Beth, did it say that the Jensens were tied to this lawsuit?
No, this has nothing to do with them. This is okay. This is about the people. No, this is not
Keeping
the Jensens
up with the
this time.
Jensens.
Keeping up with the Jensens.
It's Jensens 2.0.
Is this in state or federal court?
This was.
I think this is state court, Dale.
State court.
Because it's talking about the use of state funds.
Actually, I'm gonna double check that because I don't know that that's so.
I'm pretty sure that this is state court.
Well, and I don't know that they're going to get very far because multiple states have looked at this preemption issue, and the Controlled Substances Act splits jurisdiction over drugs between the feds and the state. So in California, it was 2008 when the San Diego Normal case came out, and they just said, look, unless the state law requires you to violate federal law, there's no conflict and no preemption. I'll be curious to see if that's the path they take here in New York, because they tend to follow what California said like some time ago.
Fair enough. Sohum, what do you have to say about this?
I mean, I kind of agree with what Jenny Beth said here. Is like this is just interfering with the implementation of their social equity program. I mean, we can debate the merits of whether or not social equity programs are the best way to actually deliver equity and justice into the industry, but that's separate because they've already legislated that they have this program and this funding for it. So my question is really, is that a new prohibitionist organization, like a SAM spinoff? What was it, CIVSJ or whatever, the worst acronym I think I've ever heard in my life?
CIVSJ?
It sounds like an
Was it
STD
cannabis,
that you caught, like freshman year of college
Cannabis
in the
Industry Victims for Justice or something like that? Was that correct, Jenny Beth?
Cannabis Industry Victims for Justice, yeah.
That's cute. That's cute.
How are they victims?
Because they're saying that they're victims because the state is using their taxpayer funds to fund this, and so they're in.
I did a double take because I thought that quote was Kevin Sabet, and it was just some other random guy from a non-SAM related organization. So
copycats.
Probably got an email exchange with Kevin Sabet.
Oh, I'm sure.
They got their talking points.
Or they realized how much money Sabet was grifting, and we're like, hey, we need to get in on that game.
Exactly. I mean, and that's all this is, and that's all that they're upset about is money. And finally, money is being allocated to the people who fucking deserve it. So how dare they? Let's go cry about it a little bit, and also raise some funds for our nonprofit while we cry about it. Like, this is insanity to me. Like, if you're going to do a nonprofit, first of all, nonprofits, here's my spiel on that. It's not for fucking profit. If you're not willing to volunteer your time, then you don't care that much about the cause. This is not a fundraise for some rich guy's wife. Like, I don't take shit from my nonprofit. No one that works with it takes shit from it. Why? The money goes back to the people who fucking deserve it. So I don't know. This is so awful, and it's such a blatant grift, and I'm sick of seeing it.
I think it's an irony that
It's America.
Yeah. What's the irony is that they're alleging that the state is misusing their funds, misusing taxpayer funds, and their solution to it is for them to be given those same taxpayer funds to do whatever they want within their organization. Like, you really can't make it up.
Yeah, it's the American way, man.
I mean, they're like, hey, you're giving all
is built off of a grift.
Yeah, they're just basically saying, they're basically saying, hey, you're giving this group all this money. You need to give us some money too. I think that's going to ultimately be the settlement.